Hi, and welcome to This Week in East Brunswick, the township's own news and information program. This week we'll continue our series on historic sites in Middlesex County with a visit to the Milltown Historical Society Museum. Afterwards, we'll stop in at a rehearsal for Nitrous, Oxide, a comedy presented by the Department of Recreation and Parks. We'll also see some of the Boys Soccer Camp Awards held last Friday. On our regular features, Pegi Ballister-Howes explains how to thin vegetables, and Dr. Robert Carlin discusses the benefits of exercise on Health Facts. On Consumer Aware, Adrian Eisner talks about health spas, and we'll finish with our Township Council review. But first, here's a look at what's on Channel 8 next week. At 10 a.m. Monday, Lenore Kulik explores hairstyle and care for the active person on Look Great, Feel Great. At 10:30, Paula Durant speaks with a survivor of the Holocaust on Target. Tuesday evening at 7, the City of Beverly Hills presents In Print with author David Freeman. Let's Talk Health with Ken Shahub follows at 7:30 with a discussion on the ethics of surrogacy. At 8 p.m., Paul Hansen investigates mutual funds on You and Your Money. Wednesday afternoon at 3, it's Stories from the Library for preschoolers. At 7:30 Wednesday night, Spotlight on Education focuses on the kindergarten program in East Brunswick. We'll return at 7 and 8 next Thursday with a new edition of This Week in East Brunswick. For more information about the shows just mentioned, check the Cable Channel 8 program guide. Wednesday morning, we visited the Milltown Historical Society Museum and met with curator Joe Baker.
Good morning. I'm Joe Coles-Baker, and I would like to welcome you to the Milltown Historical Society Museum. We acquired this house back in 1976. Before that, it was a residence, and the land and the house belonged to the borough. But we convinced them that this would make a fine museum to house the artifacts of this area. And so they let us have it for the rent of $1 a year. We did have to move the house, we did have to restore it, and we did it all without any public help. The house has 4 rooms, and we are in the living room now, and one of the things I'd like you to look at is this lovely pair of Sheffield plate candlesticks. They're around 1830 and one of our prized possessions. Right over here we have a stove, and this came from the Lindstrom family, and it's one beautiful stove, and it was made in Royerstown, Pennsylvania. We have Beethoven over here, and many of the young people who come in here, they try to guess, and I say, who of the 3 B's is this one? And you'd be surprised how many of them know it. We have an Empire sofa there and an organ. The 2 Empire chairs are very beautiful also, as is the card table from the same period. We're now in the keeping room. This was the room that was really the gathering room. This is where they cooked, and this is where the people would sit around the table and have their meals. Most farmers in this area had rooms like this. Very rarely did they have a dining room as such. You will notice on the one side of the wall over here that we've taken off the plaster to show you that the house is brick lined. Notice how the wood is in between the bricks on it also. We have quite an unusual butter churn here that swings back and forth, and the mother could swing that while she was rocking the baby, and it was really a very easy way to get butter. But we don't think so, because we have to go only to the store and pick it up. But you can see how hard these people work. And over here we have 2 Pennsylvania plank bottom chairs that have the original stencil on, and also we have quite a collection of pottery. Many of them have names from New Brunswick area and the Trenton area. We are now on the second floor and in the schoolroom. It's a replica of a school from 1860 to 1898. Notice the very fine schoolmaster's desk. And this is the bell that used to call the children to recess at the school that was right next door to us, that is now the fire company. We also have two very nice double desks. How much fun it would be being in a school, sitting next to your best pal. This is our Milltown room. It contains artifacts of just of Milltown. One of the most important ones is the post office right here. We hope you enjoyed your tour of the Milltown Historical Society Museum. And we hope you will come and visit us on Wednesday afternoon between 1 and 3. We are located on South Main Street in Milltown. Thank you.
The East Brunswick Boys Soccer Camp playoffs were held last week, despite the record-breaking heat. Friday afternoon, coaches, players, and parents gathered at the high school for the second annual awards ceremony. Director Dan Hastings spoke to the group before the awards were presented.
Good afternoon. I'm Mr. Hastings, Director of Camp, also the boys varsity soccer coach here. I'd like to welcome you to the second annual awards ceremony for our soccer camp. This year it was run a little differently. The recreation stepped in when we had some problems and was kind enough to help us and sponsor us. And along that lines, I'd like to say a couple thank yous to begin with. First, Mrs. Burke, who's the Director of Recreation, along with Judy Lebline, who's her boss as well. Mr. King, our Athletic Director, who has supported us from the beginning. Some of the things we try to do with the campers this weekend: work on their skills, learn some new ones, develop some sportsmanship, some camaraderie, some confidence in their ability, and most importantly, to have fun. It's very difficult to have fun in this kind of heat and all, but we survived and did a good job, and I think they got a very good experience from it. I hope that the boys come out in support in September and come out and support our soccer team, our varsity soccer team, which some of the staff members here will be members of. And I think the only record we broke this week, except for the weight, except for the weather, I think we have the record of drinking the most cups of water. And I think it's somewhere, at last count, about 10,000, something like that in that area.
8,411.
Thanks, Mitch. He's going to be a business major over at Longwood College.
Coach Hastings commended the players for coming together for a very successful and enjoyable experience. Each player was called by his team coach and awarded a certificate of achievement.
The township is in for a night of belly-aching laughs with Nitrous Oxide, the comedy show. The young comedians, made up of high school students and recent graduates, have come together as part of a township recreation program. The group has been rehearsing twice a week in preparation for their first show at the high school on August 7th. The sketches appear in a Saturday Night Live type format. Here you see a political satire with Soviet diplomats making crank calls to the United States.
Oh, Ronnie, you got me. Good joke, yeah?
Gordon, you've got to stop calling like this. I'm getting complaints from all over the country now. Now stop.
Oh, come on, Ronnie, you old fool. It's just a joke.
Well, Gordon, I don't care. I mean, I'll cut down on defense, but, well, I'm not going to pay for all these pizzas.
Oh, you got the pizzas. Good one, eh, Ron?
Township Parks and Recreation Director Judith Lebline is a strong supporter of the program. Judith oversees the group, provides township funding, and handles many of the details involved. She has earned the title of Angel from the Nitrous Oxide players.
And this is a group of young people that were involved with different theater happenings in East Brunswick, but primarily in the variety show from the senior class, and it was a big hit, and I understand very funny. I saw the tapes. And Doug is a very clever, talented young man. He does cartooning, and he does the skit writing, and he's been putting it together with with this cast of loonies.
How does it work into your whole recreation program?
This is the first of new programs that we're trying to incorporate for youth in the community, and we've really been challenged because we need to get something new and exciting, and this certainly is a bit different. Actually, the show is put together by young people, acted or performed in by young people, and then the market we're looking for are all the young people in the community to come out and see them, and it's a natural, I think.
Judith says she hopes the group will provide an additional outlet for township youth. Doug Osowski, the brain behind the players, is credited with starting the group. He says the show will be a big hit.
I'm happy to say, I think, that this is probably going to be the best comedy show that has ever been on the East Brunswick stage. I hope so, at the high school. There's like close to 20 sketches. They're all just have nothing to do with each other, and there's a nice band playing in between all the sketches. And the performers are they're really working out. And you look at them now, and you wouldn't even know that all of them are ball criminals. I mean, each one of them. Especially Andy, wave your hand. Andy, wave. See, he's, we just pulled him out of an institution, and you wouldn't even know it.
Doug graduated in June, and he may have a future in comedy writing ahead of him. At least that's what performers Beth Ann and Leah think.
It's very ingenious what Doug comes up with, because every sketch is different. He hates the word skit, so every sketch is very different from every other sketch, and they're very funny. When you read them, you say, "Oh, they're not so funny," but once you see them with all the staging gags, it's hysterical.
Nitrous Oxide, the comedy show, will be performed August 7th at 8 p.m. in the high school auditorium. Tickets are $2 and can be purchased at the door or at the township's recreation department.
Hi, this is Peggy Ballister-Howells, Middlesex County Agricultural Agent, and today we're going to talk about carrots. But the principles that we're going to discuss really apply to a wide variety of vegetables. When you plant a lot more seeds than you actually want plants. There's an old saying, it's an Indian saying, that you plant one for the crow, one for the thief, 2 to die, and 1 to grow. And we have a lot more carrots here than we actually want to grow. So the first thing you have to do is thin them. And the idea of thinning is to allow each plant to have a sufficient amount of space so it can grow and grow into the plant and develop the root or whatever else it is that it's going to be the edible part of the plant. Now you can see that right here they're really packed in. With many things you can just cut them out, and you would use a very sharp scissors. And the advantage to cutting, or you can pinch with your fingernails, is that it doesn't disturb the roots. When you actually pull something, like let's say we'll pull one of these out over here, you see, you get the root, but you also disturb the ones that are growing nearby. So you tug on this, and you see you got 2 instead of 1, and this one's kind of a little flopped over here now, so that's not such an advantage. But if you just trim them, you can go in with a scissors and carefully just snip out the ones that you don't want. With carrots, I generally leave about 4 inches, between 3 or 4 inches in between. Now see, here's 2 that are growing very close together. You can just snip them out, and much less destructive to the roots of the ones you want to keep. But carrots have an advantage that a lot of other little seedlings don't, and that is they can be transplanted. So over here we have a little space. The seeds didn't germinate very well in this spot, and over here we have a clump. Now what I'm going to do is dig out the clump, trying to be careful to disturb the roots as little as possible. Break it apart gently. Okay, now here we have a couple that have been nicely separated. The roots are pretty much intact. And you could just dig a small hole and transplant it in here. Now the thing you've got to remember is you should never do this on a sunny day where it's real hot. As you can tell, it's a little cloudy right now, and you should water it in immediately after transplanting it. Now some things, you can do other things with the thinnings, like radishes, for example, you can just eat the leaves, so those aren't wasted either. But it's very important to thin to the proper spacing, and you can find out what the proper spacing is on the seed packets when you buy them. Okay, we'll see you here next week in my backyard.
Dolly, could you please tell me why we're sitting under this umbrella when it's 82 degrees out, there is not a cloud in the sky, and we have an umbrella over our heads?
That's because as long as I keep the umbrella, it's not going to rain. As soon as I take the umbrella, it's just going to come right down here.
Okay.
I know it is.
So if you folks see us on Sunday night at the New Jersey Jazz concert with the umbrella over our heads, just be aware of the fact that we're warding off any rain, because it's not going to happen this coming Sunday evening.
That's right. It's at 7 o'clock. It's free. They're a dynamite trio. Can I tell them a little bit about them?
Please, the background.
Okay. This will be their farewell appearance. Jim Shank, who plays bass, is leaving for Hawaii the next day, and I've asked him to take me in his case, and he says no. And he tells me I have a case. And the drummer is Yusuf Ali, who has played with all name jazz singers. And we have a newcomer as a pianist who is Doc Brown from New York City, and he has credits as long as your arms and your legs tied together. So I'm looking for a great evening. Now, in case this does not ward off the raindrops, right, we'll be at the East Brunswick Library.
Correct.
And because we have to call early in order to move the piano and all sorts of things, we really do make a judgment call about 3:30 in the afternoon. So if there's any question about the weather, they really should call the beach. And what is the phone number down here?
390-6994.
See, 390-6994, just in case. And we'll see you, because this is the last one of our concerts, except for Labor Day, but you know, it's the last one running in a row. So we hope we see you all there. We have some more things to tell them, too. I have an arts update. That's right, about the Playhouse.
Well, why don't you tell them about the review that's in the paper?
Oh, boy. I'm walking around so proud today.
You should. You deserve it.
Right. Good friends. Elliot and Michael Taubenslag. Elliot wrote The Good Earth and More, and Michael, his son, directed it. It opened at the Playhouse last Friday and Saturday night, and we're doing another performance this Friday and Saturday night at 8:30 p.m. And Stuart Duncan, the critic from the Home News, came down last week. And if you saw in Wednesday's paper the marvelous review, oh, it is just super.
I know, I read it.
Yeah, I was really excited. I think I'll have it blown up wall size in my office. Do you think it'll go?
Elliot Taubenslag and his family have come such a long way for East Brunswick.
That's right.
We should all be proud of them.
And come out and support them.
Absolutely.
Right. And talking about support.
Awards. Tell them about your awards. Right.
That's right. The Show for Art's Sake in the last couple months has won 2 awards. One was from the New Jersey Video and Film Festival for a show that we did on Crossroads Theater, and it won, wonderful. It won in the category of Public Affairs. And then we just heard from the Association of Retarded Citizens that a show that we did on the Box Players, which is a group of young adults from the Association of Retarded Citizens, won the statewide media award for excellence, and the show is now in the process of being judged for the national competition.
Wonderful.
And so I want to really thank the crew who works for all these shows, Peter and Cindy and Dave and the executive director, who is Kevin O'Rourke, but most of all, my long-suffering director and co-producer, Chuck Marsh, who probably, outside of my husband, I give the hardest time to.
I'm sure.
But
I'm sure Chuck would agree also.
Yes, he would. You notice the camera is going to go up and down in a minute. But they contribute to make it the great show that it really is.
Well, you all deserve a lot of credit, and I know I enjoy everything that's done in East Brunswick, and I think more and more people are becoming aware of really what we do for our citizens. So we expect to see you Sunday night at the community beach at 7 o'clock. In case of rain, at the library. We'll make the decision by 3:30. Call the beach, be our guest. If you see us at the door with the umbrella, it's only to keep the rain away.
That's right. Karen, will you take me for a ride on the paddle boats when we're done here?
No, Dolly. See ya.
And now for health facts with Dr. Robert Carlin. Dr. Carlin is a professor of psychology at Rutgers University.
When most people think of losing weight, they think of diet and exercise. That is, they think about cutting down what they're eating and choosing to eat less fats and less carbohydrates and more raw vegetables and fruit or the like, and they think that they really ought to get involved with an exercise program. Most people who've been involved in weight loss at one time or another have seen a chart that says when you jog, you use up so many extra calories an hour, and when you do push-ups, you do this, or tennis, and you do this. The fact of the matter is that if you look at those calories on those charts, you'll think to yourselves, gosh, who needs this? I'm only going to work out off an extra 100 or 200 calories. I'll just skip that extra piece of whatever it is at the end of dinner tonight, and then I won't have to push myself to exercise for an hour. Besides, who's got time? Well, it's interesting that the more we learn about dieting, the more important exercise has become. It turns out that as we decrease the amount of food we're eating, our bodies get more efficient in using the food that we take in. Our metabolism slows down. Our absorption gets better. If you think about it, you realize our bodies didn't evolve in a world in which there were Wawas, 7-Elevens, and food towns. Our bodies evolved in a jungle in which food was not always available. And when food resources were not available, it was a good idea not to expend as much energy, not to be quite as active, not to do all the things that you do when you're running around. Therefore, our bodies got very efficient at using the food that they had in order to survive. These days, when we're trying to lose weight and food is readily available to us, all too readily available to many of us, we in fact have those same factors working against us. That is, we get more efficient in using food as we decrease food intake. The way to fight this is to exercise. Regular exercise at least 3 or 4 times a week, at least 20 to 30 minutes each time of keeping your heart pumping at a reasonable level, in fact keeps our basal metabolism from changing and decreasing when we stop taking in food. By exercising, we therefore keep ourselves running in relatively high gear all the time and therefore allow ourselves to lose weight much more easily, much more quickly. In other words, the calories that we expend when we're jogging or playing tennis are not the important ones. It's the calories that we use just keeping ourselves warm and moving around that change when we exercise. So if you want to lose weight, remember, get yourself out, moving at least 20 to 30 minutes, at least 4 or 5 times a week. I'm Dr. Robert Carlin, and this has been Health Facts.
Hello, and welcome to Consumer Aware. I'm Adrienne Eisner, Director of the East Brunswick Consumer Affairs Office. Perhaps you are thinking about looking into a health spa. Many Americans are involved in some type of exercise routine or physical fitness program. You may be considering joining a health spa, a place where members work to improve their physical condition through exercise, weight control, and other treatments. You will get enjoyment and minimize the possibility of disappointment if you find out about the spa's fees, contractual requirements, and facilities before you join. Here are some suggestions for comparison shopping for a health spa. Inspect the spa. Visit during the hours you would normally use the spa. See if it is overcrowded. Notice whether the facilities are well maintained. Inspect for cleanliness and note the condition of the equipment. Here are some questions you should ask when you visit. Is there a trial period during which I can sample services but not be obligated to join? What hours will I be able to use the spa? What qualifications or special training do your instructors have? Consider contracts carefully. Some spas ask you to join right away. you might be offered special time-limited rates as an incentive. But if you wait a few days, you may make a better decision. Take the contract home and read it carefully. Before you sign, see if you can answer these questions. Is everything the salesperson promised written in the contract? Is there a cooling off period? Some spas give you a number of days to reconsider your decision to join after you have signed the contract. Can you get a refund if you need to cancel, if you move, become disabled, or just want to stop using the spa? Can you afford the payments? If you have any questions, be sure to call us at the Consumer Affairs Office before you sign the contract with the spa. Very often people call us after they have signed the contract and beyond the cooling off period. It is beneficial for you to get all your questions answered first. Please call us at the Consumer Affairs Office. The telephone number is 390-6954. Our office is located in the Municipal Building, and we're there Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. Thank you for joining me on Consumer Aware. See you again next week.
Municipal courtroom was packed Monday night for the Township Council meeting. Most of the people were townhome owners who came out to object to an ordinance which excluded townhome and condo developments from the township-planned curbside pickup of recyclable materials. A representative from Society Hill's Board of Trustees was one of many who asked the council to amend the ordinance so as to include all developments in East Brunswick in the township's curbside collection of recyclables. Township Administrator Greg Fehrenbach explained that the ordinance was initially written in response to a joint order by the DEP and BPU, which mandated recycling provisions in Middlesex, Morris, Somerset, and Union counties. In past agreements between the previous council and homeowners associations, the responsibility for collection and disposal of solid waste within the townhome developments was left to the homeowners associations. Monday night, homeowners argued that the collection of recyclables should be considered independent of other solid waste, and that as residents they were entitled to the same curbside service the rest of the town would receive. Council members agreed, but decided not to change the ordinance itself because of the state-mandated August 1st deadline. Consensus was reached by the council to approve a change order for the contract for collection so that all developments will be incorporated into the township's schedule. Because of a change issued by the DEP, residents will not be required to compost grass clippings and brush. They will be required to recycle aluminum cans and glass separated by color. The schedule for recyclables matches the twice-a-month collection of used newspapers. That's all for this week. Thanks for watching.